All right, and we are back. 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 Welcome. All right, and we are back. And today we're back with another wrestling reaction. I said I was going to try to bring more to these to the channel, and looks like I have. I actually reached out to MarkyD123. Yeah, I love his videos. This guy makes a lot of great content. I've watched it a lot, and I was like, I definitely want to try to bring one of these to the channel. And you know what? He gave me his permission. So we're going to go ahead and get that done. Guys, if you haven't already, I'm sure most of you who are watching this have already heard of him. But if you haven't, make sure you go check out MarkyD123. His link will be down below in the description of this video. So make sure you go ahead and check him out. And if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video here. Subscribing is the most important part, but you know, do what you do, like the video, comment, be like,
my God, you're such a great YouTuber. I've never seen somebody as incredible as you.
And then I'm going to be like, oh, thank you. I understand. I already knew that, but like, I appreciate you saying it too. And guys, also make sure, because here's the serious part, guys. You know, if you're not familiar with it, just come in a little closer. If you don't like, comment, and or subscribe, more importantly, subscribe, YouTube will come through that door right there, and they will Eddie Guerrero in the land of extreme.
Shut it, man! It's the master of the smack attack back with another rib crack. And it's going to be Ring of the Hawk Season 4, the show where we watch back a wrestler's short run with a company, and at the end we shove them a final grade to see if they could do the JOB to the HAW.
Nice, I like this. So I like this series that he does here. I didn't know this was going to be one of these series. I thought this was just going to be like a normal retrospective, as they say. I don't know. You guys will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about Eddie Guerrero. I didn't know he was going to do a whole ranking system and judge his matches, but I should have saw this coming considering how many videos I watched. My bad. My bad.
Okay. I'm expecting good things from today's guy, but he'll have to be on form if he's going to be CM Punk in AEW, and of course Ray Ray in Lucha Underground.
Ooh.
It's Eddie Guerrero in ECW. Ray's coming to trouble you. This run takes place over the course of 4 months in 1995. Eddie had started building a name for himself in Japan and Mexico, but he'd also suffered heartbreak as his friend, trainer, and tag team partner Art Barr had passed away half a year earlier.
Oh, dang.
Match 1.
R.I.P. to Art Barr. That sounds pretty traumatic as a young, wrestler, somebody you grew up with, somebody you're training with, just pass away, somebody you're like on the road with. So R.I.P. man, that's some sad stuff right there.
On ECW Three-Way Dance Super Show television title match, the champion is Too Cold Scorpio versus Eddie Guerrero.
Ooh,
the crowd
Scorpio.
are chanting for Eddie before he's even done a thing in ECW. These are some hardcore fans right here.
Yeah.
Eddie seems to have the advantage, and they're even when they smash into each other. Guerrero takes him down and puts him in a head scissors. Scorpio rolls it over and tries to put on an STF. Guerrero.
Okay, guys, Too Cold Scorpio, highly underrated wrestler. Both of these guys, Eddie Guerrero, everyone knows him, everybody loves him, still underrated. Even if you love him, you're probably underrating him. That's how great he was. This dude knew wrestling. I remember one of the quotes that I remember Eddie saying was that his father told him, as long as you know wrestling, you'll always make it in the business. As long as because no matter what they say, it'll always have wrestling in the title. As long as you're a great wrestler, you can work on the other parts of it, but making sure you're a great wrestler, is the key. And people like Eddie and also like Too Cold Scorpio, they really kept that within them. They knew to make sure that as great as you can be on the mic, you got to put it on in the ring.
Guerrero slips out of it quickly. Someone in the crowd is loudly chanting boring. They make it back to their feet so Guerrero can land a back suplex. Guerrero wants to shake Scorpio's hand after that. He shoves him down. Guerrero kips right back up.
Okay.
They start tripping each other up. Now Scorpio wants to shake hands, but Guerrero clotheslines him instead. Eddie slams him down and then sentons back into the ring. That's a move you'll all be familiar with for Eddie. Guerrero throws a nice drop kick and an even nicer brainbuster.
Okay.
Now Eddie climbs to the top and there's the frog splash. Scorpio kicks out at 2. So I guess the frog splash wasn't his finisher at this point.
Oh, wow.
The match continued.
I mean, maybe they didn't do the whole don't kick out of my finisher thing back, in ECW. Maybe Eddie was a little bit more like loose on his whole like don't kick out of my finisher thing. But maybe he's right. Maybe that wasn't his finisher. I'm not 100% sure. It just does feel weird that he would kick out of that unless they had like something predetermined where, hey, I'm going to do my finisher like 2 or 3 times on you and then I want you to kick out. But I got to say, so far, in-ring storytelling, you can see it already, even just within him doing the brief explanation. Good in-ring storytelling. How does he grade this? I think he's going to grade this like an A. My grade so far, this is an A+ match.
He's Eddie poking Scorpio in his eyelid. There's the cheating aspect to the character right there. This fires Scorpio up, who hits a Japanese arm drag and a super kick. The match heads out the ring with Guerrero smashing into the fences twice. Scorpio brings him back with a suplex. Big double arm suplex for Scorpio gets him a 2. Eddie slows him down with a kick to the nutsack and a clothesline. Scorpio falls out the ring, so
God, what is this ref doing? Like, I get they're doing the whole like on the side cheating here, but this looks like very much in the ref's face, like cheating. Now I know this is ECW, maybe there was more like extreme rules on this one, but like, it was a kick to the groin. Did they have disqualifications in ECW? If anybody's a hardcore ECW guy, please update me in the comments.
Eddie climbs to the top and hits an insane looking splash to the outside. Lots of hang time on that one. We're back in the ring once again with Eddie getting another 2 off a cradle suplex. Eddie takes him to the corner and hits a DDT out of the corner. The cover is made and I thought it was over, but it's not. Eddie moves on to miss an elbow in the corner and Scorpio shuts him down with an elbow of his own.
Ooh.
Too Cold looks for a dive, but instead he falls.
That was a good elbow.
Eddie Guerrero connects with the Frankensteiner for yet another 2. Eddie stacks him up in the corner and he backflips away only for Scorpio to immediately crash into it for a 2 count. And there's another 2 for a simple smack.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of like when wrestlers jump back and do a backflip on the ground, like with knowing that their opponent's not there. Like when they do the whole like, oh, I missed my opponent, I dodged, I did a flip, and then the opponent immediately knocks them down. Like that happens quite often within wrestling. You'll see it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It just feels too scripted and too much like this is definitely out of the wheelhouse of things that could happen. Even when they get thrown into the turnbuckle, one person like kind of jumps up over the other person as they're running into them. Like when they clearly jump over them and then they're behind them and then they start attacking. Like that type of stuff really it puts me in the whole like, all right, this is a little bit too much type of thing. But that's just a personal opinion.
Too Cold Scorpio's moonsault is a thing of beauty, but somehow it's just another 2. How was that
nice?
Free? Big powerbomb with authority now. Scorpio seems hesitant or confused and does a senton leg drop. He eventually motions that he's going to the top again, and he lands the tumbleweed. What a match. Wait, no, it's still not over.
What?
Then out of nowhere, Eddie just beats him with a quick body scissors into a pin, and that's the 3. What a first match for ECW, and a TV title win. You can't...
Okay. Guys, what are you judging this? Take a minute, pause the video for a second, and just comment down below what you guys are judging this so far. I would say this was an A+ before. Until that finish, I would now put it as like a B, maybe a B+. It's starting to hit B category for me now. I'm not a huge fan of that finish.
That's what she said.
Get much better debut than that on Ring of the Hawk. It's an A all night, all day.
Okay. He's still giving him an A. He didn't, he must not have had any issue with the finish. I personally just feel like a simple roll up shouldn't be the finish after you both do like your finisher. And then like Scorpio does his finisher, like 3 times on you, like 2-3 times. Like it should end with the finisher or not something where it's like a simple roll up.
Match 2, Hostile City Showdown 1995, TV title. The challenger, Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero.
Okay, Dean
The
Malenko.
story here is that Dean thinks he's the rightful champion, but people keep interfering and ruining his matches. Good to see the thumb to the eye and the spinning boot wash from Eddie. Amazing how
that's a
much
good
his
one.
offense was here still back in 1995. We get a really nice acrobatic trade-off between the two now. They seem to be even until Dean clotheslines him down. They start exchanging flying head scissors for another standoff. The crowd are going nuts.
Okay.
Joey Styles tells us that you cannot find two athletes of this caliber anywhere else on telly. The crowd start getting distracted by something as the two exchange submissions. There's a test of strength now. Man, this crowd are so distracting. Eddie hits a nice twisting Uranagi to partially get the crowd back in the game. Eddie gets a 2 count off the back sent onto the ring, but then the match turns, it's Dean's for a while. He hits a nice double underhook suplex and a drop kick to the kneecap. And check out this unique submission from Dean working on Eddie's knee. This goes on for a while now, with Dean frantically
Guys, what is this called?
unique submission from Dean working on Eddie's knee.
What is this called? Is this some type of figure 4 leg lock? Because this is an original way to do it, I gotta say. Also, like, how would you, like, the reversing of this would be so much more difficult than like a traditional figure 4 or like most things where you're like, the person is either over you or you guys are like on the ground level with each other. Like, this is a good move. I guess I can kind of see why it wouldn't work on like a lot of different, like in different places, but you know, a wrestler like Dean Malenko, highly underrated wrestler. If you're not familiar with him, go check him out. I remember him back in the day. Highly underrated. One of the great, like him and like Lance Storm, like guys like that who are like pretty much always going to be mid-carders, but they had the potential, they had the ability to like represent a world heavyweight championship.
This goes on for a while now, with Dean frantically working on Eddie's leg. It's pretty much a
Whoa.
masterclass of working on an opponent's body part. If you like submission wrestling, this is the match for you. Guerrero gets a hope spot of a roll-up and a suplex, but his leg is done for. Eddie just about manages to powerbomb Dean for a 2 count, and the middle rope DDT for another 2 count. And there's the Frankensteiner for yet another 2. Guerrero locks in an STF whilst it looks like he's falling asleep on top of Dean. It doesn't work, I'm not surprised. We move on to both guys taking a tumble out the ring, and this leads to Malenko suplexing Eddie to the floor.
Whoa.
Dean misses his follow-up tope, so Eddie can dive off the top and just about connect with Dean. Back at the ring, it's Malenko with a brainbuster. Eddie responds with a brainbuster of his own.
Okay.
Eddie connects with the frog splash. It's still not over. Dean Malenko throws Eddie with the Northern Light suplex for a 2 count. Malenko ain't a quitter, he's a winner, and he hits the Tiger Bomb, but the pin is reversed into Eddie's pin for a 2 count. Eddie decides to grab his arm, and he goes running and just about makes it onto the ropes into a head scissors for a 2 count. That one woke the crowd up. Now a move you wouldn't normally associate with Eddie. It's a pump handle into a backbreaker. Eddie and Dean keep reversing pin.
I feel like I saw him do that against Rey Mysterio before. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like I saw him do it against Rey.
Attempts now, and the crowd come to their feet with happiness. Dean has Eddie on his shoulders in the corner, which is smartly turned into a sunset flip powerbomb from Eddie. I thought it was over, but no. Then the bell just ran to be rings. The time limit has expired and it's a draw. The crowd chant 5 more minutes, but they won't get 5 minutes.
Dang.
It's another A. So much variety in this run so far.
Ah, man, I forgot to do my ranking. I mean, I would have gave that an A as well. That felt like an A plus, like an A match. I don't know if he's doing A pluses, but so far, these are 2 good debut match. Like, that was a great debut match. This is a good second match for him right here.
Match 3. Enter the Sandman Super Show TV title match. The champion Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. Very early in this match, Eddie dives off the ropes over Dean into reverse Rana. Very nearly over so early into the match. Dean responds with a Tiger Bomb for a 2 count. Randomly, Dean also hits a Tombstone Pile Driver. The dead man dumps in his coffin because it's just a 2 count. Eddie just can't get going in this. His DDT attempt is thrown away and Dean powerbombs him. Both guys suddenly find some energy, but they double clothesline each other and throw the double down. When they get up, the fight heads out the ring, so Eddie can dive from the top with a crossbody. He brings Dean back into the ring for Brainbuster. Eddie finally has a foothold in this match. Only for a moment though, because Dean gets his knees up on the frog splash. Eventually, Eddie hits the very first superplex of the video. I'm surprised it took 4 matches. They make it up with Eddie grabbing his arm, poking his eye, and running off the ropes into a head scissors. Much nicer than the last time he did it. I like the added touch that poke to the eyelid. It's all Latino Heat now. He connects with the Frankensteiner and a set-out powerbomb. Dean no-sells that, and he's up to his feet first. Nice bridging pin from Dean for a 2. Eddie also gets his own 2 count. Dean puts on a
Oh,
figure
whoa, guys. What was that move he did? We got to see that again.
powerbomb. Dean no-sells that, and he's up to his feet first. Nice.
All right, the no-sell. Come on, guys. You can't do no-sells for real. Like, completely no-selling is pretty lame.
Bridging pin from Dean for a 2. Eddie also gets his own 2
Look
count.
at this. Look at that. What was that?
Dean puts on a figure 4, only for once again the time limit to expire. Someone's gonna have to win this feud cleanly for it to end. A fun half-hour crazy stamina fest from these guys. Even crazier thing is Eddie also had a match with MarkyD123 later on this show. It didn't make the final cut of the Super Show for some reason. And from the looks of it, Eddie did beat MarkyD123 cleanly. It's another A from the Hawk. Really fun stuff here. Match 4, ECW Heatwave 1995 tag match. Taz and Eddie Guerrero versus Too Cold Scorpio and Dean Malenko. Our guy doesn't start this match, but when he does, as usual, Eddie and Dean square off. At this point, I'm pretty sure they aren't actually allowed to fight anybody else. Eddie hits the Uranagi and slingshots himself back into the ring before tags are made. Taz gets isolated, which surprised me, but I think this was just before he was a major player in ECW. Eventually, he tags out, and guess who Eddie faces? Of course, it's Dean Malenko. Eddie throws him with a hip toss and a turtle wheel slam for a 2. Scorpio jumps Eddie from behind to slow him down. It doesn't work and Eddie suplexes Dean to the mat. Eddie connects with the frog splash for just a 2 count. Scorpio's in now. He slips out of a powerbomb attempt, gives him one of his own. Eddie with a nice hurricane out of the powerbomb and Taz is tagged in. Taz picks Scorpio up in an electric chair drop and Eddie flies in with a drop kick. That move doesn't end the match. Moments later, Dean holds Eddie up for a suplex as Scorpio flies at him with a crossbody. Once again, it ain't over. Guerrero almost rolls up Malenko with Scorpio making the save. The match breaks down as Dean botches a dive out the ring. Eddie climbs to the top, strangely.
Guys, that was kind of sad to
The
see.
match breaks down as Dean botches a dive out
Look at this bot. Look at this.
the ring. Eddie
Look
climbs
at. It's like the side of his body hit the guy more, but okay.
Strangely, he doesn't dive anywhere near his opponents. I think he slipped or something. It looked really weird.
Ah, dang.
In the ring, some music starts playing for a distraction, and Taz wins with the Tazplex. Wait, no, Bill Alfonso comes out and says the match will continue due to the distraction. Everything's turned into a mess. Both Eddie and Taz are pinned at the same time with a super kick and a tiger bomb. Yeah, this one got a bit silly at the end. Giving it a B due to that slip from Eddie at the end, but I have to appraise the amount of move variety you can find in these Guerrero matches.
I keep forgetting. It's going to make it seem like I was going to also give him a B because he gave him a B. But I'm going to be honest, I'm giving that one a C.
Match 5, ECW Hardcore Telly tag match. Taz and Eddie Guerrero with Paul Heyman versus Too Cold Scorpio and who else but your friend of mine, Dean Malenko. Once again, Eddie doesn't start this one. Dean and Eddie do end up fighting though. Would you expect anything less? Eddie does that nice dive into the reverse Hurricanrana again. Dean tries to mount a comeback of a flapjack, but he's drop kicked away. Eddie wants to do a test of strength now, but cheekily he does a thumb to the eyelash instead. He wipes Dean out with the senton splash into the ring. Then Eddie almost has it won with a brainbuster, but tags are made. Eddie eventually fights Scorpio. Yay, something different. He's stretching out Scorpio across his back.
I mean, not much. He's went against the same 2 people for 5 matches now. And this is just going back to the first person he went against. Like, this is... Come on, Paul Heyman. You got to do better than this.
Dean has to break the submission up. That allows Scorpio to crush Eddie with a powerbomb. Scorpio connects with the senton leg drop, but he's too cocky and doesn't want to make the pin. That allows Eddie to make a comeback by grabbing his arm and throwing rapid-fire kicks and hits the powerbomb. Eddie face washes him and nails the middle rope DDT for just a 2 count. Scorpio and Eddie are a lot of fun to watch together. They don't get enough credit. It's not just Eddie and Dean who had good chemistry. Anyway, Eddie drop kicks him out the ring and hits a tope before bringing Taz back in. It really doesn't go well for Taz, and he gets a spike pile driver to wipe him out. Taz is pretty much done at this point in the match, and Eddie will...
Why is Taz being like a jobber right now? Like, what's going on here? What's happening? This is Taz. This is ECW. This is Taz and ECW. Like, what's going on here?
Fight the rest of it on its own. Dean takes Eddie out of a big-time gutbuster, and Scorpio hits Eddie with a power slam. Scorpio also connects with the moonsault, which should be the 3, but it isn't. Eddie's comeback is on with a Frankensteiner, and Scorpio desperately tags Dean. Both guys do the tombstone reversal spot for a bit, ending with Eddie Guerrero hitting a tombstone pile driver. That just sounds really weird to say.
Okay, maybe that was too many. Maybe 2 was enough. 3 was a little bit extra, and it still would have been cool. 4 reversals to the tombstone seems That seems a little excessive, but that's just me.
Frog Splash also connects, but as you might expect at this point, it doesn't end the match. So many kickouts here, you can really see the modern wrestling style. Dean hits a superplex for a double down. Back up, Dean charges and rolls Eddie into a pin for just the 2. Eddie also comes close with his own pin. It's just getting silly now. Dean does a tiger bomb for a 1 count. He tries another one with Guerrero.
Okay. Guys, I'm sorry for pausing it so many times, but I do have to make this video transformative. MarkyD, you get it, man. You're cool. You understand. I like you. But guys, this match is getting a C for me at best right now. It's like the same thing as the last match, but maybe longer. So I have a feeling maybe some... Didn't they say this is hardcore? Like, when is some hardcore stuff going to happen in this fight so far? It feels like just the same. Like, if you didn't watch the last match and then you saw this one, like, you'd be like, oh man, I'm glad they replayed this match again. But no, this is another match.
Arm dragging him away. He also grabs Dean's arm and runs up the ropes, right at Dean with the arm drag and Scorpio with the head scissors at the same time.
Scorpio came right into that
running
one.
Again into another pin, and this time that does end the match. Wow, Eddie had to fight that match mostly on his own. A real star-making performance for him. It's an A from the Hawk. Match 6.
A? Alright, Hawk. This is your video, bro. I like you. You're great. But, like, an A for that one? I mean, obviously the wrestling was great within it. But, like, it's the same match. Give us something different. I mean, even this right here, match 6, is about to be the same match. But, like, maybe... Like, that just felt like the same match back to back, you know? But I guess he also... Like, let him go against anybody else but Dean Malenko. Like, that would probably be irritating me. And I feel like that's affecting my judging. But obviously, Hawk, you know, you're the Hawk. This is what you do. You know, you do the rankings. I trust your judgment. I'm just saying... Paul Heyman really needed to book Eddie Guerrero better. Like, Eddie versus Dean Malenko is great. It's an amazing match. It's going to be good every time. But spread it, like, I don't know, have him go against other people in between. You know, didn't you have, like, other greats at this point on the roster? Like, I would have loved to see Eddie versus, like, was Raven on this at this point? Was, like, did they still have, like, this is like 95. Stone Cold was probably already gone. But, like, you know, did they have Mick Foley during this year? You know, come on, man.
ECW Hardcore TV title match. Dean Malenko once again challenges for Eddie's belt.
Oh, man.
Weird start to this one, with Eddie continues to shoot the half Nelson whilst the crowd chant boring. Dean escapes and the pace quickens as the chain wrestling begins. It looks so good. Now there's a test of strength for a while. It ends with Dean monkey flipping him away, but Guerrero lands on his feet.
That was nice.
Dean
That was
puts
nice.
on a headlock for a bit now to more chants of boring. Eddie almost rolls that into a pin and we're at a standoff. Finally, Eddie floors him with a dropkick and the slingshot somersault splash for a 2. We get lots of standing switches now, ending with Guerrero climbing to the top and hitting the reverse head scissors. Malenko responds with a head scissors of his own. Both guys are just running all over the place, it's like they did a line of cocaine. Shades of Billy Corgan. Eddie connects with a dropkick for yet another standoff.
So the good thing about this is real, like, storytelling wrestling right here, guys. Like, this is like how you tell a story through the moves, through the wrestling. This is how you, like, go, like, build the drama through the wrestling. But if this is, like, this also is ECW, so this crowd is probably a little bit more used to, like, hardcore, like, less, like, artistic type of, like, wrestling, where they're actually doing a lot of heavy wrestling and, like, heavy on the in-ring storytelling. But, like, it does feel like it's a good relief to have guys like this within the business. You just can't only, like, oh man, these guys work so well together, we got to push them together every time. Like, you got to put Eddie with some other people. You got to put Dean with other people, help them get better, you know, help them learn other styles, but also help the people that they're working with get better and learn the style that these two are clearly experts in. That's the thing. These two are the experts of the craft right now, and you're just only making them go against each other. You're not helping the rest of the roster get to their level by, like, working with them in the ring. So, and then you put him with Too Cold Scorpio, who again already has a very similar style. And then, adding Taz to the equation, that's just adding another more like technical wrestlers to the situation. So you guys put on a full clinic of like technical wrestlers and like, a little bit of like high flying. But mostly these guys are really good technical wrestlers. So it's like that can't get boring, especially when you're doing it with 4 people in ECW. Like if you would have added this to like WWE back in that same time, they probably wouldn't have went off. Vince would have booked them even worse than this. But like it would have been nice to see these guys get like the type of spotlight with the matches they're portraying, but also going with getting to go against a variety of people within the roster, not just each other.
Dean Malenko controls the next part of the match with a kitchen sink, and if his gut wasn't hurt before, it certainly is after the gut buster. Just the 2 though. He tries another knee to the gut, which Eddie smartly rolls into a pinning attempt.
Okay.
Eddie's alive again now, and he hits a pump handle backbreaker. Eddie tries a gory special, which is almost turned into a 3 for Malenko. Eddie quickly shuts him up with a power slam and a 4-star frog splash for a 2. Eddie misses his attack in the corner, which allows Dean to fly from the top with a crossbody for a 2.
Nice.
His suplex is blocked though and turned into a brainbuster. The shooter tries to stop his next dive, but just gets a sunset flip powerbomb for his efforts. No man can keep the other down. The brainbuster doesn't get the job done for Dean either. Eddie connects to a Frankensteiner pin for a 2 for him now. Eddie and Dean decide to take a tumble out of the ring. Fans desperately try to hand them weapons to use, but no. Eddie climbs to the top and drops Dean in the back of the head straight into a bridging German suplex for yet another 2. He quickly follows it with a fisherman suplex for yet another 2. Malenko is hurt by that apparently, and he tiger bombs Eddie for a 2. There's a couple of pin and reversals now, and out of nowhere Dean just pins Eddie. Dean has captured the ECW TV title. Finally a clean ending to this feud. Eddie shakes his hand and hands Dean the belt. They drop it. Then they do another handshake and Eddie drops Dean. So I guess this isn't really over. Really nice match again, but it's getting a bit tiring seeing these two together.
It is.
Eddie didn't...
I'm giving this one a... Actually, I do want to give it an A still. I'm going to give it a B because of the ending. Again, endings are heavy for me when in these type of things. Like, you got to end it properly. It sucks when you have a really great match and then it has like kind of a wacky ending. I'm just not... It kind of ruins the whole flavor of the whole match to me.
Didn't seem to have any sort of character in this match, unlike his other matches. I know I'm nitpicking, but that's my damn job. It's a B. Match 7.
Hey.
Oh, of course. It's an ECW TV title match. The champion, the shooter Dean Malenko versus the champion Eddie Guerrero.
Wow.
Despite Eddie's actions at the end of the last match, he seems like exactly the same guy, which is marks down in this Hawk's opinion. And for what it's worth, that isn't much. I wish Crisp Jericho would sit his ass down in the front row. They repeat that nice monkey flip spot from earlier in this video. Eddie has a new head scissors variety too. It's always nice to see some new moves on Ring of the Hawk. Eddie quickly hits a Frankensteiner for a 2. They suddenly both go nuts and keep flying at each other like the Hawk. Crisp Jericho has an identical twin for a girlfriend. Dean finally lands a move with the belly to back suplex. He also hits the brainbuster for a 2. Gotta love the gut buster, a thing of beauty.
Ooh,
Crisp Jericho.
My gosh, that was a crazy gut buster. Guys, that one was insane. I gotta see that one more time.
Brainbuster for 2.
Look how high he gets him up.
Gut buster, a thing of
Look at this. Look how high up he is up in the air.
beauty.
Bam! Jeez, guys. That had to have hurt at least. That had to have hurt in real life. I don't care how many times you guys script that. You're coming up high, you're landing on somebody's knee. You're going to try to like move your body so it doesn't hurt as much. But if you want this to like really sell, your body's going to hit that knee at least a little bit. It's going to hurt. Shout outs to these guys. Like, as much as I talk about everything I just said, like, at the end of the day, these guys know what they're doing. They're incredible wrestlers.
Crisp Jericho is more entertaining than this match at times. What drugs was this guy on? Dean reverses the middle rope DDT and throws Eddie through the air like a soaring hawk.
Whoa.
The Tiger Bomb gets Dean a 2. He follows that by throwing Eddie into the air and letting him crash to the mat. Eddie reverses a hip toss attempt into a pinning attempt, which almost left Chris Jericho dumping in his nappy. We get a nice Uranagi from Guerrero now, and he hits the 2-star frog splash. His gut is hurting too badly to make the cover. Dean tries to make Eddie tap out of more gut work. Guerrero makes the ropes. Malenko sends Eddie running now, who connects with a hurricane into a pin. Dean kicks out, but Eddie is a persistent bugger and goes straight to a jackknife cover, and that's the 3. Probably the weakest match so far. The overacting of the moral in the front row didn't help at all.
Yeah, I'm giving it a B. It may be a C, but I want to give it a B. It was still a decent. It seemed like it was still an entertaining match, especially like with the moves that they're putting on. It's still a good match.
This one's still a B, but it's a weak B. I just didn't feel comfortable giving this match a C.
Yeah,
but
B
I will
minus.
if this lack of variety continues. At least Eddie is the champion again. Any title win is a thumbs up in my eyes. Pointless reign for Dean Malenko right there though. We get a rare Eddie Guerrero ECW promo now, and he shows he still has a bit of a way to go in this department. He sounds confused and not sure of what he's even saying.
Extreme Championship Wrestling, because we are taking it to the extreme wrestling-wise, Dean. You know it, and I know it. See, I think I am the better man, but do I know it? I think I am. I'm not sure I am, but I still think I am. I think I am. I think I am.
Match 8, Wrestle.
I feel like I'd have to see that promo, like see his actual facial expressions throughout the promo. It's like I kind of feel like I know where he was going with that, but it also kind of felt like he was pretty lost within that at the same time. Like the Eddie Guerrero that anyone who like was watching wrestling within like, you know, the early 2000s and like right before he passed, you would have never seen Eddie Guerrero make a promo like that. Like even when he was going through like the whole him and Ray and, you know, Eddie was kind of doing like the whole like he's losing it type of thing. He was like legit. He had like a legitimate like great skill of acting at that point where he was able to portray like, hey, this is actually me. You know, I'm actually, look at what I'm doing here. Like when he's like beating Ray and like taking his mask off, like those are the type of moments where you're like, oh man, this is not like, this wasn't that Ray yet, or this wasn't that Eddie yet. It's nice to know that he'll get there, but like it does kind of suck to be like, ah man, I wish that promo was better. It felt a little cringy to listen to, but you know, it's my boy, it's Eddie, it's, you know, viva la raza, you know, like I have a strong feeling with Eddie, you know, he was one of the first, like, he was like the first celebrity death I remember where I actually cried to as a kid. Like, it was like the first one that was like, yo, this hits close to home. So seeing Eddie do a promo that's not incredible, it's kind of like soul shattering. So thank you very much, MarkyD. You know, guys, make sure you go subscribe to MarkyD. He knows how to entertain you. He also can shatter your soul if you were a huge fan of a wrestler and didn't think that they ever did a mid promo.
Palooza 95, 6-man tag. Dean Malenko, Too Cold Scorpio, and Cactus Jack. And they take on, wow, Eddie Guerrero and the Steiner brothers. Never have I ever been so happy to see Scott Steiner. This was supposed to be the Steiner.
Dang, we need Scott Steiner doing a promo for Eddie right now. Because if you add Eddie and then you add the Steiners and then you multiply that times the amount of times that Dean Malenko and Eddie have fought, and then you subtract that by the times that Cactus Jack has wrestled Eddie Guerrero, then you get WrestlePalooza 95.
And Taz taking on Dean, Scorpio, and Benoit, but injuries stopped that from happening, and instead we got this, and I'm not complaining. It's interesting to watch Dean being much closer to Scott's size. It's all Scott and Dean for ages. It's also interesting to watch Scotty actually selling for Dean's offense. Eddie and Scorpio eventually gets the tag. Guerrero's all over Scorpio like a bad shirt. He just can't go wrong here. Eddie brainbusters the Scorpio and tags Rick Steiner. Scorpio struggles and tags Cactus Jack. It all goes a bit insane here between these two. Rick finds it too easy fighting Cactus Jack and tags Eddie in. And now he'll brawl with Cactus Jack. He gets Cactus in the corner and climbs onto his shoulders, but he can't manage the victory roll attempt and he's smashed with an electric chair drop. Oh no, Cactus tags in Dean Malenko.
No.
As if we haven't seen that enough in this video. Eddie misses the 1-star frog splash on Dean. The Tiger Bomb gets Dean a 1 count. Now Eddie does manage the victory roll for a 2. Dean desperately fights to stop the tag to the Steiner brothers. Cactus gets the tag and hits a double elbow of Dean and hits a leg drop of his own. Now it's a back body drop. He tries another but is kicked in the face for his efforts.
Okay.
Guerrero just can't tag out. The Steiners flip their lids and take Cactus out for a moment before normality is restored. Too Cold slams Guerrero on the floor and Cactus flies off the apron with an elbow drop. We then come back from an advert break to see Scorpio hitting a moonsault leg drop insane. He doesn't make the pin though. Instead he does a big powerbomb. Now he makes the cover which the Steiners break up and Scotty flips him off. Scorpio flies yet again but this time dives into Guerrero's knees. Eddie still can't get the tag as he's roughly smacked down. He's sent running again and this time he nails the Hurricanrana and finally does tag in Scotty Steiner. A few minutes later the Steiners lift Scorpio onto their shoulders and tag Eddie who flies at them with a Doomsday. They also do the same with Foley, this time Eddie hits a dropkick. And finally Dean Malenko, this time Eddie does a diving head scissors. It doesn't look great, but I do appreciate the effort and thought in here. That should be over, but the pin is broken up. Eddie and Dean will fight again. Seconds later Dean rolls up Eddie for the 3. I wasn't expecting the team of the Steiner brothers to lose. Yeah, this was an awful lot of fun. Lots of nice move variety and crazy.
I guess we got to give that a B. It's hard to give an Eddie Guerrero match anything lower than a B. I'll be honest. Like as even if the ending doesn't go off the way I feel like it should, and again, a roll up for a 3 count after all of that, like a triple tag team match, like it shouldn't end with like a roll up, 3 count like that didn't get stopped. Like all these other attempts got stopped by somebody, but the simple roll up didn't get stopped. Like great match. It was probably an incredible match from start to beginning. From start to I said start to beginning. Those are the same thing. It was almost a perfect match from start to end. The ending. You can't keep ending it like this, guys. What is happening?
There you go. See the Steiners and Foley in a match with Eddie in 1995. It's an A from the Hall. Things don't always go the way you want them to go, though, and Too Cold Scorpio beat Eddie Guerrero for the TV title on a house show. Styles goes on to announce on TV that due to the relationship between Ted Turner's wrestling company and New Japan Wrestling, because Malenko and Guerrero both have contracts in New Japan, they're going to both be going to WCW soon. This gets a huge Bischoff sucks dick chant from the crowd, which leads us on.
Dang, they pre-made a sign that says Bischoff sucks. Shout outs to these guys who knew that Bischoff sucked before they even came here and heard the announcement. They just knew Bischoff sucked. And guys, I need an ECW shirt. Like, I need an ECW shirt.
Match 9, final match. 2 out of 3 falls match. Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero. The crowd are pretty nice to both guys, and they chant at them, "Please don't go."
Jeez, guys. Please fight other people is what I would have shouted. This guy's had 9 matches. 8 of them have involved Dean Malenko. Like, we get it. They work well together.
And Dean shake hands. Malenko starts out with a really nice leg sweep. There's a pretty long feeling out process, but this is also a pretty long match, as you would expect. The pace does eventually quicken with both guys doing hip tosses, monkey flips, and head
nice.
Eddie swats away a dropkick and hits a botchy-looking springboard bulldog. He follows up with a lucha arm drag from the ropes. Malenko has to bail for the ring because he's losing. Dean dumps his nappy of fear. He does come back to the ring, but he shouldn't have bothered, as he's thrown with a belly-to-belly. Eddie also hits an enziguri, which I'm pretty sure is the first one of this video. There's the superplex from Eddie, but it's just a 2. Another first for this video is the Turtle World Backbreaker, another move Eddie will become associated with. I just love Eddie's move range. Pins are exchanged, and one of them actually works for Eddie, and he has the first fall. This pin didn't really look legit. The second fall starts with a low dropkick dodge, and Eddie smashes Dean with a bridging German for a 2. Malenko slides on his belly like a seal and dropkicks Eddie in his knee. That one did work. Dean will now work on Eddie's leg. Eddie tries a comeback, but he's stopped and hit with an Alabama slam. Dean quickly puts Eddie in the Texas Cloverleaf, which surprisingly we haven't seen in this video. Eddie has to tap out for the second fall. For the third fall,
I kind of figured it was going to be like that. You got to make it exciting between these two. But I will say, I bet during this third fall, the fans are probably starting to be like, this is a lot of technical wrestling for me right now. You got to remember, these are like ECW fans. They're used to seeing like Tommy Dreamer. I mean, this is like the mid-90s, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure Tommy Dreamer was still at least a rising star at this point. So like, you know, even with it, like they have the Sandman, you know, stuff like that. So it's kind of like, you know, I can imagine them starting to get a little bit like a 2 out of 3 falls match being a lot for them.
The pace quickens and the big moves start coming out. Malenko gets a 2 off a Brainbuster and another 2 off a Tiger Bomb. Guerrero responds with a DDT out the corner. Eddie hits a Brainbuster of his own and the Frog Splash, which just never gets the job done in ECW. Both guys end up exhausted on the mat after a dodgy looking sunset flip powerbomb. They climb back to their feet with Malenko reversing another DDT attempt. He nails the Gutbuster. Now there's lots of pins exchanged, and some of them got the job done for Eddie in previous matches, but they don't work here. Instead, Dean tries a bridging pin, but both guys' shoulders are down. The ref counts 3. Styles loses it on commentary and has no idea what's going on. The match is declared a draw, which is a fitting way for this run to end.
Oh wow.
I'd say overall Eddie just about shaved their feud, but barely won it. This match was a B, but maybe I'm just burnt out from seeing these two together.
Yeah.
It won't matter anyway, you're going to see why in a minute. Eddie cuts another promo and says the crowd paid to come to the show and he respects them. He thanks them all for making ECW exist. Dean Malenko also talks, which is a shock as he hasn't talked for his entire ECW run. He can barely be heard over the crowd. Wow, look at crisp Jericho's eyes. Malenko says he respects the crowd too. It ends with both guys shaking hands and the ECW locker room spill out and carry their heroes around the ring. Eddie says, "I hope I made Art Bauer proud," and he leaves. You sure did, Eddie. That very same month, August 1995, Eddie and Dean would show up on WCW telly. Of course, they had a match against each other. Dean Malenko would win a tame exchange in their feud. Alright, I'll be quick before you hit me with a brick. We've got to shove Eddie Guerrero final grade for Ring of the Hawk Season 4. This was actually better than I expected. I knew the moves were going to be good, but Eddie showed more character and connection with the fans than I was expecting as he was a youngster. And wow, he just meant so much to that crowd. He was universally loved. And considering I'm not a fan of Dean Malenko, I thought this run would be a chore to get through, but they actually managed enough move variety to keep my attention. 2 title reigns, and this run got him signed to a major wrestling company, so it really is a perfect run. My only small gripe would be a lack of opponents, but that isn't Eddie's fault. So guess what, my little friends? We got a new champion on Ring of the Hawk Season 4, because Eddie finishes this run with an A, and he also takes the title away.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mysterio.
That's what I'm talking about right there. 9 matches, again, 8 of them were against Dean Malenko, so you can't like, you know, I wish the variety was there. But let's take a look at this list here. Loch Ness, I don't think I know who this is. They weren't great, you know. Rucker, again, not familiar with them. I need to watch these episodes. Vito, I feel like I remember this one here. I didn't see the Teddy Long one, so guys, make sure you throw up in the comments because I do want to see that one. Ludwig Borga, I don't know who this is. Guys, I'm 32 years old. I watched wrestling up until like maybe high school. So like, you know, my knowledge stops around like 2008. Droz, not familiar, but you know, bad storylines. All right, crazy. The Boss Man, I remember him. Directionless, okay. Kurt Angle, depressing. What? Kurt Angle? I gotta see this one. What was going on with Kurt Angle in these 19 matches? This has got to be like his comeback or something. Paul Burchill, Gunter, isn't he like a champ right now? Desmond Wolfe, never heard of him, but I like the name. Thunder Liger, interesting. Karen Cross, interesting. This is like the first one that like is great. CM Punk Part 1, mid with a smiley face. Part 2, almost amazing. And obviously Rey Mysterio was bangers. So guys, comment which one of these videos I should try to do next. I highly enjoyed this one, guys. Eddie Guerrero was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. One of the first wrestlers I watched that I like really got into like the technical side of wrestling with, where I was like, yo, without bringing out a chair, without jumping off of a ladder that was 15 feet in the air, without doing some of the more extreme stuff, I really enjoyed watching his matches. And then like when you start getting into like, you know, I think the first wrestling like documentary I watched was the what was it, like Beyond the Mat, you know, the one where it kind of goes behind with like um what it like goes with Mankind, and like shows the story about like the Hell in a Cell, and like, you know, his match with the Rock. When you start getting into more of those and you start seeing more of their interviews and you hear like Eddie Guerrero talk about wrestling, you really saw the passion for it. So like it really sucks when you lose somebody like that. He would have went on to become multiple time world champion. I guarantee he would have went on to have so many more incredible matches throughout his history. And like, it sucks for his family, obviously, to no longer be able to have them in, you know, have him in their lives. You know, I feel bad for his children, his wife. But you know, even as a fan, like selfishly, we lost out on like just obviously great years of entertainment from him. So it was like we all lost, and obviously Eddie Guerrero is no longer with us, so like he lost as well. So it's like within all of that, it's always nice to go back and see like people like him. Like you get to see how he became the legend that he became within the sphere of WWE. You know, these aren't his like very first beginnings, but this is still just like a really nice humble beginning story. And also, I gotta say, this guy, you don't like Dean Malenko, I can understand it. I will say you gotta respect his wrestling though, which obviously I'm sure you do. You know, Marky D, give Dean Malenko one more chance. You know, maybe you'll like him. I'm not gonna like heavily endorse Dean Malenko. I'm just gonna say give him one more chance. Also, if you're watching this video, if you ever make it this far, MarkyD123, I want to know, how do you feel about Lance Storm? You know, he feels like one of those guys that people don't really talk about enough. So obviously you're an expert. I would love to know your opinion on Lance Storm. I feel like he could have been one of the greats if they would have gave him a little bit more of a time. But again, that's just from my memory, and my memory is, you know, very skewed. I only watched SmackDown growing up. You know, I didn't purchase pay-per-views until like WrestleMania 20, I think is the first one I actually purchased. So, you know, maybe I'm overestimating how good he was. So yeah, guys, if anybody else is watching this video and you made it this far and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a very long video. Oh my gosh, you're still talking. You're going on a rant now. Thank you for watching this long. If you like this, make sure you comment below. Make sure you hit the like button on the video. And also, did you know when you subscribe, something really cool happens? I'm not going to spoil it for you, but go ahead and subscribe. And guys, as always, if you made it this far, I want to say thank you. You're incredible. And as always, bye.